Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third series of Cuppa and Natter, Writing the Next Chapter. I told you it was going to be huge, and we're kicking things off with the legend that is Baroness Tanni Grey-Thompson. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
I'm good. I'm cold, which is what I'm wearing, a bubble hat and like a big hoodie, and I've got my coffee, so it's all good.
The weather has well and truly changed, I think. The heating's on, warm jumpers are definitely the new in, I think.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
But no, as I said, I'm joined by absolute royalty. Thank you so much. One of Britain's greatest ever athletes, a 5-time Paralympian between 1988 and 2004, winning a remarkable 11 golds, 4 silvers and 1 bronze. Add to that 5 world championship wins, 6 London marathon wins, setting 30 world records across your illustrious 16-year career. I mean, what did you not achieve, Tanni Grey-Thompson? So thank you so much. I'm really intrigued to pick your brains over the next 30 minutes.
Excellent.
So I start every Cuppa and Natter by asking all of my guests what everyone wants to know about them, and that is how they like their tea, okay? So you've kind of answered maybe a question already, but I'm going to do that by asking you 5 quick fire questions, if that's all right.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay, so question number 1, breakfast tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Are you a coffee? Okay. With your coffee, do you prefer drinking it first thing in the morning or last thing in the evening?
All day and lots.
Well, someone as busy as you, I bet you probably it's probably helpful. Okay.
I drink lots of coffee. I drink lots of instant coffee, but yeah, lots.
Do you actually? Okay. So with that, milk or no milk?
Milk, absolutely.
Milky coffee for the win. Okay. With your coffee, do you prefer having a hobnob, a digestive biscuit, or a chocolate chip cookie? Oh.
Right.
Really? Not
right. So hobnob. What was the choice again?
Hobnob, a digestive biscuit, or a chocolate chip cookie?
Digestive biscuit.
Okay.
And yeah. Sorry, that was complicated. The hobnob threw me. No, not.
You're not a fan.
I'm really sorry. Jaffa cakes or fig rolls or I'm making it sound like if there was. I'd eat them. Like I'm really not that. I would just eat biscuits. So I'm making it sound like I'm a whole connoisseur. But I'm not that fussy really.
Okay, final one. Does your coffee taste better when made by yourself or made by someone else?
Made by myself.
Oh yeah, so you're a bit of a barista.
I've actually got a friend who's trained as a barista because he's really Tom. He's like really, really fussy about his coffee, and he tried to teach me to do it, which involved like weighing the coffee grounds and boiling your kettle about 3 times, and it's like seriously, just bit of instant coffee, and I'm really good. I'm not that fussy.
Well, as you've touched upon, I suppose your coffee drinking is probably very worthwhile considering how busy you are. But I'm going to kick things off. I've pre-warned you that I ask all of my Cuppa and Natter guests 3 questions, okay? Now, this first question, I think, is going to be a miracle if you manage to answer it, considering the successes that you had throughout your athletics career. But if you had to pick one highlight or achievement throughout your career, what would it be and why?
It'd be winning the 100 meters in Athens, which is my weakest event. And I hated the 100. I mean, I'm a sprinter, but my starts were just not great. And my top speed was really good, but I just, never seemed to get any better, however much I practiced my starts and getting to my top speed quickly. So I won that. But the reason that was huge, well, because it was my weakest event, but also my 800, which was my strongest event, which was my first final in Athens, I completely screwed up and it was horrific. And I'd basically spent 2 years working on the tactics for how I had to race the final, which was basically the way my chair was set up, the way my gearing was on my chair, everything was I had to go to the front and time trial it. And that was the only way to win. Yeah. And I knew that going into the final. And then as we broke off the pens, I decided to sit at the back of the pack. No idea why. And so that was really miserable. Yeah, because, you know, I remember going back into the village and, you know, teammates giving me a hug, and I was really upset. And, you know, because I've been in sport a long time, I knew guys from the other team. One of the basketball players came and gave me a hug and was like, "You're right." I was like, "No, I'm not." And it was just really miserable. And at that point, you want everyone to ignore you. But, you know, I had people coming up and going, "Oh, it'll be all right. You know, it's one race." And, you know, and so I remember before my 100 final, I was sick 12 times on the warm-up track.
Wow.
I was coughing up stomach lining pretty much. And the coach, Jason, who'd been allocated to look after me, I remember him standing there with a bag of ice just going, what do I need? Do I have to do this again? I don't want to do this. And it's someone I knew him really, really well. And he was just like, "What? How did I get you today? Like, seriously?" And so, yeah, there were some amazing people around me in the team who kind of got me back together to win the 100.
I mean, it probably shows the sense of strength of character that you had in that moment where, as you said, you touched upon, you had that disappointment in probably your favourite event, and where you were expecting yourself to excel, and then to come back and use that disappointment to then win in the 100. I mean, that probably speaks volumes. But do you think that kind of came with the experience that you'd had throughout your career, and that being maybe your 5th Paralympic Games?
It's a combination. I mean, it's you know, the older you get in sport, you've just done more stuff, and you learn from it. And, you know, when I used to train with the men's squad, you know, they used to kind of train on the track. They used to push me all around the track to just give me lots of opportunity to fight my way out of being blocked and stuff like that. And so, yeah, that does help. I think some of it was just in me that, you know, one of the team coaches said to me after the 800, "Look, if you want to go home, if you just want to sit, you know, declare yourself injured, you don't have to be here." And it was like, I need to stay, you know, whether it's good or bad, I need to stay. And so I think it's just around the bloody mindedness. I'm really stubborn. My mum, who's passed away, but we used to joke because she was like really similar personality to me. She used to say, "Tanni, we're like reeds that blow in the wind, that acquiesce to everyone's wishes but our own." You go, "Yeah, that's not true." Like, not true. We're both really, really stubborn. And so I think there's some of that stubbornness, is that good or bad, I'm going to see it out.
Yeah.
You know? But also I knew in Athens as well, I knew it was going to be my last games, you know, because of my age and injury, and, you know, and so it was like, I can't leave my last games. I need to stay and finish it.
Well, it's fair to say you went out on a bang in that 2004 Paralympic Games, and, you know, lucky you didn't take yourself home after that earlier disappointment, because, you know, you didn't add to that medal haul just through luck. So that, I mean, yeah, your sporting career was absolutely phenomenal, as I've touched upon. But this series of Cuppa and Natta is based around former athletes that have gone on to excel in their careers after retiring from elite sport. And yourself just is the absolute epitome of that. So a House of Lords Crossbench Peer since 2010, where you debate a range of different issues from disability rights, accessibility. You're also the chair of UK Active, a organisation that I'm a huge fan of, obviously in promoting physical activity in young people. But if you had to knuckle it down, since obviously retiring in 2007, of your proudest achievement, what would it be?
Oh,
there's a lot there.
No, it's hard. Like sport, it's like medals, and, you know, that's a bit easy. But, you know, changing a line of legislation might not seem a big deal to other people, but there's some of that stuff where I've got, I had votes in the welfare reform bill, which is around benefit support, and a lot of it was around disabled people. And this doesn't sound like a huge victory at all, but I had a vote, and there was a 3-line whip against me to basically get all the government support out to vote against me. And I managed to persuade a number of government peers to not vote against me. So they didn't vote with me. That was a step too far. But I remember there was one person in the chamber who'd always voted against me. And fine, you know, and we get on really well, actually. And I called the vote, and you've got 8 minutes, and there's bells ringing, and it's all quite dramatic and sort of exciting, but not. And she just came up to me, and she just said, "I'm going for a cup of tea." I said, "Well, you're going to vote?" She went, "I'm just going for a cup of tea." And that was like, right, okay. And that sounds really small, but you know, so I lost, but I could have lost by more. Yeah. Yeah, there's some of those things. And you kind of hope, I guess it's like my sporting career. You hope you haven't had your greatest moment. You hope that it's, because it was only when I got to the end of my sporting career did I spend any time looking back at it. And it's a bit like that now. You always think you've got, you know, what keeps you going when times are hard and difficult, and I'm reading loads of briefing papers and I'm trying to write a speech and trying to get my head around some really complicated secondary, you know, legislation. You hope that your best moment is yet to come. So it's fascinating. And I'm lucky I found a second career that I love, that I, you know, that I don't always like it, but I think I always love it. And that's why I felt about sport. You know, you don't always like it when you're winter training, or, you know, you're bruised and battered and it's hard, and, you know, but you have to love it to make you keep going.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting when you say, obviously, you inspired the nation to take note of the Paralympics and Paralympians throughout your sporting career, and actually you continue to make a difference and a change within society through your work right now, and obviously trying to persuade others and your peers around you in passing these legislations. But do you think kind of your experiences within your sporting career has kind of helped shape you in your career now?
Yeah, definitely, because, you know, in sport you spend this huge amount of time training for this tiny bit of competing. So I mean, it's like you compete in lots of events. The moments that are really, really important are, you know, if you think of about as a pyramid, it's, you know, for me it's Paralympic finals was the top of the pyramid, but you have to do everything underneath to get to that point. So, you know, my career on the track to win the 16 medals was 19 and a half minutes of my life.
Wow.
And it was, you know, 25 years from beginning to end. So yeah, that because you just go, right, I need to answer the emails, I need to read them. You know, it's not fun and glamorous. The exciting bit is when you're in the chamber and you're looking at people and you're trying to weigh up how many people are going to vote with you or against you. And also, you know, sport is quite, you know, egotistical, and it's a privileged place to be. Yeah. It's different in politics because the stuff we do affects tens of thousands of people's lives for the good or not, and people like me or hate me for what I do. And so that's quite different, because normally in sport, people, you know, generally quite nice to sports people. And so, you know, I've had people who've come up to me or come up to my daughter when I was young, when she was much younger, and say, can you tell your mum she's a rubbish politician? Wow. You know, it's like, right, tell me, don't tell her, you know. I think she was like 7. So, you know, there's stuff like that is different. But yeah, it teaches you've got to work hard. And that there's no easy wins, there's no right to win. You know, you can have a lucky break along the way. You know, I've won races when I've not been the best in the field, but I had a lucky break, and, you know, all the complexities with that. So I think for me, people kind of say, oh, isn't it hard going from sport to politics? It's like, no, because in sport, you're always trying to be better. You're always like, what do I need to do? Can you give me some, you know, I'm used to kind of really direct feedback from being in sport. So, you know, I think, and I'm quite inquisitive. I like to know how stuff works. So, you know, in sport, you have to know the rules, you know, so what is the rule on, you know, drafting, or what's the rule on aerodynamics or stuff like that. And the same in politics, you need to know the rules. So we've got a rule book. You know, I spent my life with the, you know, the athletics rule book, and now I spend my life with the Lord's rule book, which is called a companion to the standard orders. Not massively interesting, to be honest, but once you know the rules, you can kind of engage.
I guess it's that parallel, isn't it? It's the attention to detail. And actually, you know, throughout your sporting career, you're probably, you know, every single day finding those like little wins and the fine margins in kind of improving, setting new PBs, getting on that medals regularly in terms of your competitions. But obviously now there's no resting on your laurels in terms of the role that you uphold. And do you still get that adrenaline when you're in the chamber, as you did when you were on the start line in some of your races?
I did for my maiden speech, because a maiden speech is terrifying, because and so lots of people come into the chamber to listen, so that's really nice. And there was a debate on the Olympic and Paralympic Games, so it's like, right, that's where I'm doing my maiden. You know, I can't really avoid that one. And I remember beforehand just thinking, oh, this is really bad. You know, just, you know, making sure, you know, you've got the right tone. And then what's really sweet is that whoever speaks after you says really nice things about you. And then you know, in the Lords, we still have handwritten, people send handwritten letters to each other. Yeah. You know, we have headed paper that, and, you know, sometimes it's the quickest way to get a message to someone. You got all these letters going, oh, that was amazing, that was brilliant, well done. And then you realise that everyone gets that because everyone's equally terrified for their maiden. So no, I don't, it's not the same, but there are moments when I'm taking something to a vote where you just go, how's this looking? Which way are people walking? How's it going to go? Is it going to be good or bad? And I think there's an element as well in terms of, you know, the way I was brought up in sport. If you win, you sort of be quite laid back about it. You're not in other people's faces. You know, politics is a bit like that. If you win, there's nothing to gloat about because there are people who don't like it that you've won a vote. So, you know, you try and sort of step back from it a bit. But there are moments where you're kind of tired. I remember being it's a different type of tiredness, actually, you know, tired from training where you just need to sleep on the floor after a really hard training session. Yeah. I remember we had a series of really late night votes, and there was this amazing peeress called Baroness Trumpington, and she's famous because she was caught on camera sticking her 2 fingers up in the chamber because Lord King had mentioned how old she was. So this is an amazing woman. She was in World War II, was part of the code breaker at Bletchley Park, knew Alan Turing, campaigns for, you know, to have the stuff against him sort of turned around. And I remember just being so tired and barely able to stay awake, and I was having a cup of tea with her, and I was sort of there, and it was just like, stay awake, you know, because you're trying to concentrate on everything going. And she waited for me to lift my cup of tea to and she just said, a bit like the Second World War, you know. And I just said, not sure it is really, but, you know, kind of just relentless. And she went, and as I took a mouthful of tea, she just said to me, but with a lot less sex. Ah! And she was about 85 at the time. And I just went, and I remember so I have these really lovely white tablecloth. I just spat my tea over the tablecloth. And then she sat back and just went, she was really cheeky. And it was like, you've done this before. You have done this before to someone else. And I just remember, I just wanted to hug her. Oh, wow. Yeah, fab.
I mean, I hope she's not been as bad an influence on you as it sounds, but she sounds like a phenomenal piece of company when needed. Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting you talking about your current career, but in terms of, you know, you're a politician, you're a motivational speaker, you're a broadcaster, you're a board member of numerous different, you know, charities, companies such as Sports Aid, London Marathon. I mean, your schedule must be very, very busy. But my third and final question is, what kind of is the plan now? What do you have in mind in terms of moving forward your ambitions maybe in the next 5 to 10 years?
It's different because I don't feel I have the same control over it. So I'm a bit of a control freak. So, you know, so the day I got married, I had a schedule for every 15 minutes.
Love it.
And I went training in the morning, I got married, went training. Anyway, so in sport, you know, there's a lot of stuff outside your control about selection and all that stuff, but you're in charge of your destiny in terms of what training and what you do. So that now feels, some of it is about what government legislation comes through. But there's loads of stuff in terms of disability rights that I want to try and change and work on. And the Equality Act needs to be stronger and better and serve disabled people better. And so there's still a big list of things I want to do. And I think the point, I feel I don't have the energy to do that anymore. That's the point I retire. But I love being busy. I'm a workaholic. You know, I like being busy. I mean, I feel guilty when I'm home, guilty when I'm away, guilty, you know, my daughter, guilty for everything. But I like, and I get to work. I mean, this is a massive privilege. I get to work with people I really like. Yeah. So the guys at UK Active, they're just an amazing bunch of people, and people I work with in politics. And that's a huge privilege. So that's why it doesn't feel like it's work. So yeah, there's still lots of things I want to do. But the average age of the House of Lords is somewhere between 69 and 70 years old. And I'm still 20 years off that. So wow. I've got a long way to go to hit my peak of my career.
I love that. That's brilliant. I mean, if you've got 20 years left to make a real meaningful change that you are right now, I mean, the society is going to be a lot better place with you creating that change. And in terms of, you touched upon UK Active, obviously the current moment in time that we're living in right now, obviously physical activity is a big part of children's lives, and you've spoken really openly about, you know, making sure that continues, especially during lockdown. So I suppose in short term that's going to be a aim for yourself and UK Active, right?
Yeah, I mean, getting gyms and leisure provision open, you know, we know that during the first lockdown, physical activity dropped by 70%. And that was in spring, and going into winter, it's harder. And, you know, the incident rates of COVID in leisure, because there's really, really high standards on ventilation, track and trace, hygiene, you know, physical distancing. You know, the cases are less than 1 in 100,000 through the leisure sector, where it's 150 in 100,000 in the general population. So, you know, we've got to have a healthy nation, and we've got to think about ways that we can get young people in school out, just being active, staying active, doing stuff. Because it's really important. You know, before this we had a problem with, you know, obesity and, you know, the impact on the NHS, and you know, I think we've got a responsibility to look after ourselves and not catch COVID and keep out of the NHS as much as we can, but we've also got to raise physical activity profile. You know, we know we're meant to do it, it's just we don't always do it, and so we need to get people to be more active.
I couldn't agree more. And it's one of those, I mean, I'm obviously quite passionate about it because I'm very, very lucky in that I remain active on a day-to-day basis as part of my job as a Great Britain hockey player. But actually, you know, I can fully see for children the mental, the physical benefits of remaining active, especially during this time, is so important. So I really appreciate the work that you guys do at UK Active. I think it's fantastic. So yeah, hopefully that continues to be just as successful in the next few years. But okay, so I feel like I've asked some questions there, and usually at this stage of the Cuppa and Natter, where it's usually on Instagram Live, I ask for social media questions in from viewers. But this series, we're taking a little bit of a twist, and I've got a few quick fire fun fact questions for you, if that's all right.
Okay, right, yeah, let's go.
So I'm going to ask you a question. You might know the answer, you might not, but I think just go for a guess and we'll see where it takes us, okay?
Okay, yeah, right.
Okay, so question number 1. In 1992, you were the first woman to go under the 2-hour time barrier in the marathon. Okay.
British woman, but yeah, anyway.
Sorry. Yeah. So you in 2002, in your 6th and final London Marathon victory.
Yeah.
How many months was that after you giving birth to your daughter?
Oh, okay. 9 weeks and 6 days. Not that I was counting, but I was kind of counting.
That turnaround. I mean, you deserve, and you should have been given the title before the race even started.
Yeah, I mean, I trained all the way through, and it was all part of the plan, and it was all fine. I mean, the race kind of worked out for me as well, in terms of it wasn't the quickest London I've ever done, so it ended up being a more tactical race, which kind of suited me at the time. But yeah, I mean, I look back now and think, what was I doing? But it was all right. I mean, it was okay. It was, because actually in a racing chair, you're really protected. You can't like move your stomach around too much. So, you know, it was okay. I'm not sure I could do it again, but there we go.
It's not like you're just, you know, in a race down to Sainsbury's down the road. You're doing a marathon. Well, it's unreal.
I was training about 10 days. I mean, I was training carefully 10 days after having her. But I do remember going to the airport. We took her to a training camp in Spain. So trying to get a passport for a baby is hysterical. Because like, what do you hold? And I'd never held a baby. Do you hold a baby up in a passport booth? So we took her to this camera shop, and basically her first passport, I wish I had it here, she's basically slumped in the corner like this. And I remember going to the airport to check in, and like the whole squad are there, and, you know, got wheels and racing chairs and they said, oh, how many items to check in? And I think I was like 9. And they're like, is that for the squad? And I'm like, no, that's me. So my day chair, my racing chair, my wheels, I've got a buggy, I've got a crib, I've got something out. And I just remember having all this stuff and then coming back, and it's like, right, this is not happening. We are not traveling with this much stuff again. So she actually has slept in a drawer in a hotel. I mean, with the duvet and with a pillow and other stuff. But yeah, she has slept in a drawer. Oh, she's going to be mortified for me telling you that.
Does she know this? Does she know this story, or is this a Couple and Natter exclusive?
That is an exclusive, but yeah, just.
Oh, I love it.
We're quite she also used to think, we used to train at the track, and we used to just give her a bucket and spade and stick her in the long jump pit. Okay. And so she used to think the beach was a long jump pit. And then the first time she went to a real beach, I do remember, I wish I'd had a picture, because she went there and she was like, because there was all this, it wasn't just, a rectangular sand pit. So she's had a bit of a strange upbringing, the poor thing. She copes really well with us as parents, to be fair.
Well, I mean, I bet she's very well travelled, but she certainly provided your lucky mascot 9 weeks after her birth. Yeah. I mean, yeah, impressive. Okay, so another one for you. You won the Lifetime Achievement Award at the Sports Personality of the Year last year in 2019, and rightly well deserved, in my opinion. Congratulations for that. But since its introduction in 1996, there has only been 3 other female recipients of this award. Can you name them?
That is so actually, could I name any of the other recipients? That is so bad. Bobby Charlton. I know that doesn't count. I know, but I love Bobby Charlton bits.
What a guy.
Can I just say, right, this is the reason I love Bobby Charlton. I love Bobby Charlton for so many reasons. But we'd gone to visit a sports project together. Caris was really little, and we were waiting for something to eat, and they brought her sausage and chips while we were waiting for something else to eat. And he was sitting there and he was helping, and he was being really sweet. And he said to Caris, said, "Can I have a chip?" And she picked up the biggest chip on her plate. She bit it in half and gave it to him, and he ate it. And I just think, I love you for that. Anyway, oh gosh.
That is so funny, that.
Right, that is diversion. No, I'm really bad. So I am so bad at remembering anything that's happened in sport. You do never want me on a sports quiz. You absolutely do not, because I am rubbish. So no, go on, tell me the answer. I'm going to kick myself.
I wouldn't want you on my team for Question of Sport then.
No, you don't. No. Okay. No, I'm on one of the biggest losing teams ever on Question of Sport.
I mean, it's hard when you've won so many accolades, but I'll let you off. Okay, so first one in 2003, think tennis. Martina Navratilova.
Oh my God, no.
Okay.
He's going to kill me.
Okay. In 2017, so 1 year after the Rio Olympic Games, think athlete, think...
Jess Ennis. No.
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Jessica Ennis-Hill in 2017. Okay, 1 year later in 2018, think again. An icon, tennis player. Go on. Billie Jean King.
Oh no, that's really bad, right? Because I was actually on stage when she got her award. Oh no.
They all went to one. That's your problem.
No, that's why you don't. I once got in a sports quiz, a question about me wrong.
No.
So that's why it was some really bizarre question from a very specific date to a very specific date, what I'd done on the track, and I got it wrong because I couldn't remember. So yeah, just drop me off every sports quiz ever.
I mean, you started well in this quiz, so you got one.
Downhill.
Okay, you've got one more question. Okay. I think you'll get this. Okay. At Barcelona Paralympics in 1992, you became the first woman to break the 60-second barrier in the 400 meters.
Yeah.
Can you remember your PB in the 400 meters that you set in 2003?
56.28.
Oh!
Is it right?
Yes. Correct. Okay, we think it's on a high. That's fine.
That's good. I'm glad you didn't ask me about any of the other ones, because
that's the only one. I had a feeling that you'd know that one.
Thank you.
Was that one a special one? Can you remember it? Can you remember it well?
Yeah, it was a really special one, and because it was Swiss Nationals. It was one of those days where the weather was perfect, and the track was great, the temperature, the wind was blowing in the right direction. And the reason I remember it was because my training group were there, and my husband, who was by then was my coach, and I'd come off the track and he hadn't seen the clock, and so he knew I'd gone quick. He didn't realise, and I came off the track and he said to me, "Your first 5 pushes weren't great. You need to nail them better." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, no." And one of the guys, Jason, on the squad was like, "Yeah, Ian, have you seen the clock?" And Ian was like, "Yeah, but today wasn't about the time. It was about nailing each segment of the race." And Jason was like, "Yeah, but look at the clock." And I remember Ian went,
"Oh my God."
Yeah, that was quick, but your first 5 pushes. So I remember it because of that, because it was like, seriously, I'm not sure how much better I could have. Yeah, so I remember it because there was like something really funny around the story.
Well, I hope he didn't take credit for that then, because you obviously smashed your start if the clock says anything to go by. So
yeah, thank you. I'll tell him that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, no, Tanni, thank you so much. I mean, the 30 minutes has absolutely flown by. I could literally listen to you for hours, but I'm very wary of the time, and my cup of tea is empty.
Do you know, I'm nearly gone, and I have to do this. I am a huge Star Wars fan, so this is my special mug. This is my Clone Wars Star Wars mug. So this is always on my desk.
I'm very honoured that you brought out a special mug, especially for the occasion, to start series 3 of Upper and Natter with a bang, and our special mugs with it. So thank you so much again. It's been an absolute pleasure to be in your company and to hear from such an incredible person. So thank you.
Thank you.
And for everyone else, my next guest will be revealed on Wednesday at 6 p.m. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But in the meantime, thank you so much for joining us. Keep that kettle boiled, keep nattering using #CupperandNatter, and I'll see you again, same time, same place on Thursday. Thank you so much, Tanni. Take care.
Thank you.